everyone, welcome back to Soul Food. I'm so happy you're here because today we are making this sweet potato pie recipe that is coming in to change the game. And when I say change the game, I mean shake it up, really shake it up. We are doing away with some of the traditional aspects of sweet potato pie, and we're bringing in some new and welcome flavors. Trust me on this one, I got you. So instead of using a typical butter, we are using a brown butter, which sounds more complicated than it is, but it really adds a nice caramely molasses, a rich flavor to the sweet potato pie that I promise you are going to love it. And instead of using a pie crust, a traditional pastry crust, I've honestly never liked them. I don't like the texture. It throws the whole pie off for me. So I was like, you know what? Let's shake it up. Let's try out a Graham Cracker Crust with our sweet potato pie. Had my first bite, and I will never go back to using a pastry crust for the sweet potato pie. I know you all are going to love this one. If you try the recipe out, give this video a like, comment down below what you thought, and before we go any further, take a second to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more recipes coming your way from Soul Food. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. To make this recipe, go ahead and start with 3 smallish, medium-sized sweet potatoes. Wash them real well. Poke them with some holes so the steam can escape in the oven. Pop them in the oven at 350 degrees for just shy of an hour, about 50 minutes, until they are very, very soft. And you are good to go. You're not going to want to boil your sweet potatoes. I feel like you don't get as much flavor this way. So putting them in the oven for an hour and forgetting about them is the best way to go, in my opinion. So here in my Ziploc bag, I have 10 sheets of regular graham crackers that I am using a rolling pin to pound out and get a very fine crumb texture. So here I go, just at the end, using my rolling pin as if I'm rolling out a dough, just to get those final bits of crumbs nice and fine until it looks like this. Then I went in with 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and I'm just gonna stir all those dry ingredients. Then I went in with 1 cup of melted butter. I'm sorry, not a cup, 1 stick of melted butter. The full list of ingredients for this recipe will be down in the description box below. So you're gonna want to mix this very well, and it'll come to about the texture resembling wet sand, just like this. Then I went ahead and put that mixture into an aluminum pie tin. I don't have any reusable ones just yet, but this works just as well. It makes cleanup pretty easy. So I went in just with the same measuring cup that I used for the brown sugar, and I am first packing down the bottom of the pie. This is what you're gonna wanna work on first. And then once that's all compacted, then you're gonna wanna move on to the sides, and I'm just using my fingers to go round and around and ensure that the sides of the crust are nice and compacted. It'll look something like this when you are done. You'll see that in just a second. I went ahead and put it into an oven at 375 degrees for 6 minutes until it came out nice and golden brown looking, just like this. All right. So next you're going to want to move on to making the brown butter. Oh yes, I've got 1 stick of butter in my saucepan. I'm using a light saucepan so that I can see the color change, right? This is super simple. So I put it on low heat. Once the butter melted, I did not walk away from this because it goes pretty quickly. So you're gonna wanna stay by the stove and watch it. So you'll see gradually the color start to shift from that light yellow color to a golden brown, just like this. And once it gets to that point, you're gonna wanna turn your heat off and stop because it'll keep going with the residual heat. And this is what mine looked like in a bowl. I just let it cool for a little while. And this added such a gorgeous molassesy, caramely flavor to the sweet potato pie. You can't miss it. So with the 3 sweet potatoes, once they came out of the oven and cooled, I put them into my blender, and all the rest of my ingredients are gonna go in here. I had a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, some ground nutmeg, that brown butter, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, as well as a pinch of salt, and then 1 cup of nicely packed brown sugar, this for this extra caramely molassesy flavor, tablespoon of flour, as well as a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 cup of evaporated milk. Then I went ahead and popped the lid on this bad boy, let it blend until it was creamy, dreamy, smooth. It didn't take very long at all. And then I went ahead and poured that into the cooled pie crust. This pie crust, I allowed it to cool for about, while I was making the rest of the ingredients so that it was nice and firm. Put this into the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 to 50 minutes. You're gonna want the center of the pie when it comes out to still have a little bit of a jiggle to it. Not too much, just a bit of a jiggle. And that's how you know it's ready. It'll also look a little bit poofed up here, but it'll go back down once it cools. So here is my finished product, looking beautiful. I put it aside to cool until it was room temperature. Then I placed it into the fridge overnight to cool. So I decided that I wanted to put some whipped cream on top, but I did not want to bust out no blender, no mixer, or nothing like that. So I just put it in a jar. I put a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream, a little splash of vanilla. I used 1/2 tablespoon of white sugar, and then I just went ahead and shake. You could use any type of container that has a nice tight fitting lid on it, and just shake it for about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and you'll be with the perfect whipped cream. You're gonna wanna make sure you keep an eye on it so it doesn't turn into butter on you if you shake it too much, but just every so often open it to make sure that it is still a good consistency. And when it develops those stiff peaks, you know you're ready to go. And finally, it is time to cut into this rich, perfectly sweet, perfectly creamy, molassesy, caramely, sweet potato pie. I went ahead on with some of my whipped cream, and I garnished, of course, with some freshly ground nutmeg, and that was it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more, and I will see you in the next one.